Good morning, everyone, and welcome to your Week 4 Monday Morning Breakfast Bite. Now, this week we're going to continue studying about intellectual property and talking about trade secrets. So if you look at the course materials, just pop down that screen, you're also going to be looking at the fact that we're also addressing contracts and licensing. So we're entering into contracts this week as well. Now, trade secrets are a little different because when we talk about trade secrets, there's no actual federal law that covers that per se. Trade secrets are generally going to fall under state law. And trade secrets really has to do with those things that a company wants to keep to itself because it feels that divulging that to the public would give everybody else a competitive edge. And keeping it actually gives the company itself a competitive edge. Coca-Cola's recipe for Coke, Pepsi, Bush's baked beans secret recipe, KFC's secret recipe, all of those things are considered intellectual properties. But a lot of times client lists are considered intellectual property, or trade secret I should say, as well. And processes, the way individuals or companies do things, the manner in which they conduct business, has to do also with trade secret information. Contract law, on the other hand, talks about a contract between entities, between parties, whether it's individuals, whether it's company to individual, whether it's company to company, whatever it is, contracting has to do with a certain aspect of the law. And licensing is very, very relevant to cybersecurity, e-commerce, and doing business in general, but even particularly so with regard to e-commerce. So we'll talk this week about licensing. And licensing is important because it is a type of contract. In order to have a valid and enforceable contract, you have to have certain things. You have to have an agreement, so you have to have a meeting of the minds. You have to have consideration, which is an exchange of something of value for something else of value, what we call in the law quid pro quo. You have to have a legal subject matter, so you can't be entering into a contract for something that is illegal or against public policy. And we all know, like a hitman, you can't take out a contract with a hitman and then breach that contract for more than one reason, obviously. But it wouldn't be a valid and enforceable contract because it's for an illegal purpose. Same thing with with the state of mind. We have to have the mental capacity and legal capacity to enter into a contract. So when you look at it from a company standpoint, the employee that's entering into the contract has to have the authority of that company to bind that company. Same thing with our government. Some agreements, international treaties, are what we call self-ratifying, which means that the president or whoever is signing that on behalf of the United States or whatever country must have the authority to enter into it. Most are not, because Congress doesn't want the executive branch to have that type of authority. So they wouldn't be self-ratifying, but that's what we're talking about when we talk about that legal capacity. The other capacity, mental capacity, also legal capacity, has to do with children. Children, anyone under the age of 18, cannot enter into a legally binding contract except for very few circumstances, and unless they are emancipated. The other item of that is mental capacity. If you don't have the mental state to enter into the contract, it cannot be a binding contract. Whether you don't have the mental state because you are you're elderly and you've reached a point where you may have dementia, something of that nature, you're mentally incompetent and declared mentally incompetent, things of that nature, you cannot validly enter into the contract. Now, mental capacity can be impaired temporarily, so there are certain circumstances where that would occur as well. So this week, take a look at the PowerPoint. You have the Oracle versus Google case. Take a look at that. You have your Week 4 discussion. We want to go ahead and post those on time. And then you have your quiz too. So this week, let's take a little bit of a breather. Not so much to do this week. Yay! And then next week, of course, you're going to have your midterm. Then we have to prepare for the other aspect of the deliverables for the team project. This week I will be reviewing the team deliverable ones that you sent in, and I'll be choosing 2 of those to move forward, 2 of those fact scenarios to move forward. But in interim, what we're going to do after we move those forward is probably next week we'll set up a WebEx so we can all get together and hone through the facts and see where we need to tweak and what we need to tweak. Now, once I choose those 2 scenarios, I will go ahead and I will start assigning teams, one to one side of the scenario, one to the other side. So one team will be a plaintiff, one team will represent the defendants. You all will be that amazing legal team that's going to represent one of the parties moving forward in the litigation, which makes it more fun because now you're actually taking a side and arguing that and having a little more fun with it. As always, if you all have questions, please don't hesitate to contact me, but have an awesome week 4.